My earliest business experience was knocking doors, selling pencils. It's hard to say no to a 14-year-old boy standing there with pencils. I'd buy them for 10 cents, sell them for 25 cents. And I learned that face-to-face is so critical and so important. Fast forward, I launched my first business 2009. At the time, I didn't have a business going. I wasn't employed. I had very little savings, and I wanted to go launch a business, which was a live events business. So this was my first crack at a true business in 2009, which we've been through 2009.
Get chasing single-family rentals. Let's build commercial portfolios. Collect the best insights and information from commercial real estate experts and industry heavyweights on this episode of the Rent Stew Podcast.
All right, guys. Christian Cotta here. Welcome back to another episode of the Rent Stew Podcast. Today's guest, here to my left, Shawn Finnegan, is a Salt Lake City entrepreneur. He's the founder of Tax Hive, and he's an early investor in Crumbl and Swig. And if you've got a wife and a daughter, you probably know Swig because it's one of the most poppin' concepts blowing up right now, dirty sodas. He's built powerful brands and even stronger partnerships. And just like me, he is a proud girl dad. So without further ado, let's get into it. What's up, Shawn? So this kind of dropped in our plate.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it that you prioritized, seeing your daughter at the practice yesterday. So I missed seeing you at the event. I love that you have that priorities are clear for you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we were able to connect the next day.
Well, so our mutual friend who's offline here behind the camera, Chris, said, hey, I got to connect you with my buddy Shawn up in Salt Lake City. We jumped on a phone call, got on a Zoom call, said, hey, next time you're in town, let's host one of your network events here at our event space.
Great space.
And then we'll coordinate this. Ironically enough, Chris helped set that up and told Bryant, my business partner, my best friend, who had no idea and didn't realize what it was.
Right.
And so I'm sitting in the office yesterday, and all these people are showing up for your event, and I find out like 5 minutes before you are getting here that you're getting here, and I had to take off to a meeting. So I'm glad, I reached out and said, hey, how long are you in town? I had to make sure that we got this podcast in place because this guy is a brilliant business mind. I know this is a real estate podcast, and we want to dive into some of that real estate stuff, but more so too, before anyone can just invest in commercial real estate or get to that point, there's a lot of mindset, there's a lot of systems, there's a lot of just business savvy that goes into being successful in real estate. Yeah. And so why don't you kind of share a little bit about before Crumbl and before Swig, how did you get to that point where you started thinking about that?
Yes, my dad was a bookstore manager, so I didn't come from any money. I learned early on you had to sell in order to make money, right? So my dad, I wasn't going to go to him and ask him for allowance, so I had to go knock doors. So my earliest business experience was knocking doors, selling pencils. It's hard to say no to a 14-year-old boy standing there with pencils. I'd buy them for 10 cents, sell them for 25 cents. And I learned that face-to-face is so critical and so important. Fast forward, I launched my first business 2009. At the time, I didn't have a business going. I wasn't employed. I had very little savings, and I wanted to go launch a business, which was a live events business. So this was my first crack at a true business in 2009, which we've been through 2009
Oh,
together.
yeah. That was one of the hardest. What were you doing thinking about starting a business?
I wish someone would have shaken me and said, hey, it's 2009, one of the biggest recessions of our age. Let's not start a business. And I just had this optimism, and I was going to go make an impact on the world. And so that was my first really big business that I launched. So I have this spreadsheet that I've built. The spreadsheet says I'm going to become a millionaire. So I'm pretty stoked, right? Because according to all, how you get a frenzy going when you have a projection.
Oh, yeah.
And projections
it's like our pro formas on every deal, how much money we're going to make.
And I think that's the beginning of a lot of great businesses where you're like, hey, I'm projecting out. This is how much revenue can come in. This is how many lives we can impact. Let's go get this business done. So I had a spreadsheet, and now I knew I needed to go build a team and bring in revenue. So for the first time ever, I raised money. And so I met with about 70 investors, angels, and I had
Salt Lake seems to have a lot of those.
Lots of them. And, I was horrible. You don't know. You just go in And you'd learn how to find out, first seek to understand and then to be understood is what I learned in that process, because I might be pitching someone the wrong deal.
Yeah.
And I don't know unless I've actually listened to them, right? But a lot of times, so I made a lot of mistakes. A lot of people said no, but about 29 of them said yes and gave me 1.5 million.
Okay.
And it took about 4 or 5 months to get it.
So what kind of events were you putting on?
So these were big live events. And so, tickets, sell tickets, get thought leaders, put them on stages. I love education. I love
General business.
Entrepreneurship.
Kind of like Aspire.
Yeah, very similar. Yep. So my first event was David Bach, the Automatic Millionaire. I paid him $70,000. I sent out a bunch of direct mail. Direct mail gets hit by a hurricane, literally a hurricane, and it gets delivered 2 weeks after the event.
Oh.
So here I am, the ultimate promoter. And
those are the things you can't put in a spreadsheet.
Yeah. So according to my spreadsheet, I would have had 500 people in that room. I had 500 chairs.
Yeah.
I had booked the venue. I'd paid $70,000 for him to show up in a limousine, and I'm the high-flying promoter, right? And I get out there, and there's like 30 people in the room.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, I wanted to dig a hole and jump inside, right, and bury myself, and you have to face it. And it's bad for his brand, and it's just so embarrassing. And long story short, over the next 12 months, I lost the 1.5. But it was worse than that because my home was basically on the chopping block and my car.
Wow.
Because I'd given everything and chewed so much glass for the 12 months to try to just make things work. And I had this pound per square inch because, at one point my family was proud of me. I was the CEO on LinkedIn. What about the people in my office that had confidence and faith in me?
Yeah, you feel responsible for them.
What about 29 investors that gave me 1.5 million?
Yeah.
What about them? And all this stuff just starts piling on, and you start feeling like you can't do anything right, and you're a pure failure at your core.
How do you overcome that?
Well, so for me, rock bottom was a Thursday night because I was short on payroll the next day, and I had $2,000 in the bank, and payroll was $3,500, and I didn't sleep a wink that night. I remember my wife; I was just tossing and turning, looking at the ceiling all night, because what did it mean the next day? I had to go tell people I can't pay you.
Yeah,
and that's painful. It's horrible. So I woke up the next morning. I'm praying for a miracle. I'm praying to God, like, hey, help me with some kind of miracle of a deposit.
Give me a sign.
Yeah, there's no deposit. So I go to lunch, and I'm like, have I ever returned every rock? I don't have anyone. I'm $1,000 short. I don't have $1,000 in the world. I've leveraged everything. And I'm at lunch. I stand up to go talk to the people in the office, and I get a phone call from my controller, and she's like, hey, Shawn, I was digging through the safe, and I found $3,000 in petty cash. What do you want me to do with it?
Oh.
Literally, I was like, $3,000 in cash. So I screeched my tires and went and picked it up. I went to the bank, deposited the bank. It clears immediately, and I cut physical checks for every member of my team. And I still remember the color shading of the check. I went back to the office, and I delivered the checks to each individual. And that's how close I made payroll. So what did I do with it? That I was like, I started analyzing and becoming an expert on why I failed.
Yeah.
And I failed in operations, marketing, sales, all of it. So if you made a mistake, I've made something very similar.
And most people will make a mistake in one of the areas.
Yeah, I made all of them. Tax Hive's business partners with Kevin O'Leary, and one of his comments in business, poo-poo happened. And to me, everything happened. And poo-poo happened for me in all of things business. But I analyzed, and I said, well, what was my number one mistake? And what I found is my number one mistake is I stopped building relationships in business. I stopped because I was knee-deep in crocodiles. I had this friend that was like, hey, come over here to this event. It's a great meetup. Why don't you come to that? You can build relationships. You can, And I stopped doing that. I felt like I was on top of the world, and I had all this pride. And I was like, I'm the man.
Too big.
Yeah. And I realized that every empire built it with relationships of other people.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs.
Yep.
Wozniak. I mean, every single one. And I was like, that's my number one mistake. That's what I've been doing wrong the most. And so I made literally a covenant that day that I was going to build relationships with people, and I was going to get very comfortable with being uncomfortable and going up to random strangers. And I went out and reached out. The first thing I tell people to do is reach out to your phone. You probably have thousands of people that you've made a contact in there. I reached out to mine. I connected with two guys that were really successful, and I sat down with them, and I ultimately built a relationship with them. They became my partners, and we went on this crazy run. because it was nuts seeing two people that were really connected bring all their relationships to the table, and their relationships to the table, money started flowing in like I'd never made in my life.
Yeah.
And all this money came in, and over the next 12 months, I was able to pay back the 1.5. It was like 2.2 by the time I paid everyone back a return, because I didn't want to have to face them again if I couldn't pay. So I was like, I'm not going to do that again and handle that. So we were able to pay them all off.
Well, your word is your law.
Yeah.
And you told them that you were going to take their money, invest it, and give them a return.
Yeah.
Might not have hit the time frame, but you made sure that they got their return.
Yeah, exactly. And I still remember going
that
through
way
that
you could
stress,
always go
seeing
back
their
to them
face.
at some point.
I met with them. I told them I would, they had faith in me, and that their dollars were hard earned.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult thing.
When you had integrity.
Yeah.
You want to be able to sleep at night and go to your next business venture and say, look, I failed in a business venture, but I did pay every single penny back, and I did pay the return I promised.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that's all you have.
That's right.
Is your reputation.
And they knew this. They knew we
and
were struggling.
your reputation, your Rolodex.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. And so that was so important. But they knew I was struggling. They knew. That's probably why they let me buy him out, too, because they were like, okay, he was on death's door not too long ago. I want to just take my money and take the chips off the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my first kind of foray into business.
So you're the second person I've had on the podcast. My friend Nate Lowry owns Bjork Builders.
I've met him before.
So Nate's a great guy.
Yeah.
And we came on, I thought we were going to talk about construction, and we ended up talking about like mindset and relationships, but he said something that you just said and reiterated. So if you watch the podcast, if you listen to it on Spotify or Apple or whatever, this is the second time you're hearing it. So themes are important for success, right? He said people are your most important asset.
Amen.
You're talking about relationships for building your business. He was talking about hiring and the people that you bring onto your team. So like when you look at running your business, you can have machinery and you can have, it's things that you invest in and stuff like that, but your people are your most important asset.
Yeah, you're in the real estate business, but really it's a people business, right? There's humans behind it all.
Yeah, and we just were talking before this about the social media and the digital stuff, and commercial real estate is really like still old school, but people are starting to find this, I can magnify my network by using LinkedIn and Twitter and all this stuff, but there's still the aspect, and I think they've done a good job of learning how to leverage these technologies to meet all these people. Like Chris introduced me and you, did a Zoom call, but this is this takes it to the next level.
100%.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary wrote a book called The Digital Divide, and it's all about how the old school mentality of not telling your story, you're going to get left behind, and there's going to be a bigger and bigger gap between people who aren't willing to lean into AI, lean into technology, and ones that are just left behind. Right?
And nobody knows the whole connection there with Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
Tax Hive. So you ran this event business. Was the next foray into Tax Hive? Is that the run?
Yeah. So Kevin, we reached out to Kevin initially.
How do you just reach out to Kevin O'Leary?
So we actually
Mr. Wonderful. You just pick up the phone and call him.
Yeah. So he
wearing his flip flops with shorts below.
He sure was. Yeah. His multicolored pants below.
Yeah,
for sure.
And the suit top up top.
Yeah. So we reached out to him, got a hold of his right-hand person, and said, hey, we want to pitch him a deal, and it was my job to pitch him the deal. So he's a Toronto. So at the time, he was running for Prime Minister of Canada. A lot of people don't know. If you ever see him in politics now, he's Canadian, but he has 1,000+ hours.
He's got a lot of
politics.
A lot of good ideas. You hear him on CNN and stuff.
Yeah. So I was like, these sharks get pitched. When they're not on the show, they get pitched. It's a crazy thing. So he spoke at Harvard, and I went to Harvard and watched him speak, and his laptop stopped working, and so I had to take him to the mall once. And I took him from the parking lot to the mall. He got pitched like 40 times.
Is this after you're working?
This is after we're working with him. So I flew up to Toronto. It's like 10 degrees below zero, and I'm like, okay. Literally, have you ever been so cold where you're Arizona, so you don't understand this?
I have one experience.
Okay, yeah.
It was in Chicago at Christmas time. I had a beanie on and a short sleeve shirt and a like a scarf, and we come out of O'Hare, and you know how the doors blow warm air when you walk through them? The doors blew warm air when they opened, and then the warm air went away, and I felt like someone punched me in the face.
Yeah, that feeling.
Yeah.
So it was 10 degrees below, and I was like, I only had 30 minutes with them. It was like 30-minute meeting. And I flew up just to pitch him on getting on live stages with me. And so my head was so frozen that I went into a 24-hour bank just to kind of warm up and say, hey, dude, I have to be on because I have to pitch this guy who gets pitched everywhere.
Yeah.
He gets pitched on the show, he gets pitched. And this thought came to me with Stephen R. Covey. First, seek to understand, and then to be understood. That came to me so strong, and I was like, I'm not going to pitch this guy. I'm going to see if I can unpack what he wants to do.
What's important to him?
Yeah.
Master asker.
Right. So I sat down and said, hey, Kevin, I love your brand. I love everything you do. Help me understand, where are you going to take this thing in the future? What
are you trying to do?
What are you doing? And all of a sudden, he starts unpacking. He's running for prime minister. He's got a new best-selling book he wants to put. He's doing this. He's doing another show. And as he's unpacking, I can see this ecosystem unfold around me. And I was like, well, I do live events.
Made it easy to start to pinpoint. And
instead of you coming to my way of thinking, this is my pitch of my it's like, hey, no, this is how in your ecosystem, I can sell your books at events. I can get you in front of people. I can help you raise money in Canada on stages. I can do all these things that support your ecosystem. And now it's just a yes because it's his. It's not me trying to convince him and sell him something. And the meeting ended up being 2 hours. And at the end, he said, let's do this. And so he started jumping on stages. We booked him maybe a couple hundred times. So I traveled with him for years. We were in every hotel you can think of. I got to know him independently really, really well. And that's how we first started. COVID kicks in. We're no longer doing events. We have to pivot. Things are falling apart.
Zoom events,
yeah. We're like looking at everyone went online. So we're like, hey, how do we make a pivot? And who's our best relationship that we built for years and paid millions of dollars to? That's Kevin O'Leary. So we actually pitched him here in Arizona.
Okay.
So I texted him. I was like, hey, we have a deal. We want to pitch you. And if you watch the show, he beats people up who don't know the numbers. You know, it's like, you're dead to me if you don't know the numbers. Yeah. So this stressed us all out because we're like, we don't want to be called out because he doesn't know what the deal is. And it was actually just around at a restaurant here. And so we stand up, we go launch into the numbers and how we want to do, we want to help business owners and real estate specifically. We talked about.
Oh, really?
Real estate investors just get lit up. They don't take advantage of the code. We talked about how we want to do planning.
I'm in the market for new tax. I'm not even lying. We didn't plan this, but I have a tax group that I like working with, but they're not specific to real estate.
We are
and I've been asking people for recommendations. Yeah. I don't know how we didn't get on that when we were on the Zoom call.
Chris.
Hey, where do I sign?
Yeah, let's do it. So we're really good. So Kevin, like 2 minutes in, and he does one of these, which means like stop talking. It's like Simon Cowell moment. And
it's like the hand goes up.
I remember literally
my finger on your mouth. Like,
yeah, right. My heart sunk because like his brand sees millions of people a week. Yeah. His face is everywhere. So we're like, hey, if we can attach our brand to that face, we're going to blow up. And here it's a no. And he said, hey, let's do this. Let's make this happen. So he became a partner of Tax Hive.
Did you think he was going to say no?
I thought he was going to say no.
But he said the exact opposite.
He said it because he loves tax. He's like, I've been talking about this forever. Small business owners, if I ask them what their expenses are, they never say tax. They say, people cost, product cost, shipping cost, material cost, but no one ever says
tax
because it's out of their mind. They put it out of their mind.
You hear right now, I think in commercial real estate and investing, cost segregation is a big buzzword.
Amazing.
But I don't think too many people think much about it or know much about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. I know what it is, but
essentially, the IRS looks at a building to say you can depreciate it. It's worth 0 in 27.5 years. It's the same if you're a baker and you buy an oven. The oven's $1,000. Eventually, that oven's going to be worthless. Mm-hmm. The IRS says that oven's worth 5 years. So you get to deduct and depreciate that all the way down to 0 in 5 years. It's the same with a property. You get 27.5 years. And it's in its straight line, which means it's just the same every year for 27.5 years. Yeah. What cost seg does is they say, well, wait a minute. Well, within the building, there's different products and stuff you have on walls, and you have, you have water heaters and all that. Those water heaters don't last 27 and a half years.
Yeah.
So why don't we take each cost segment of the property, and we'll accelerate all the pieces of it, right? And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I get a bigger deduction because the water heater is it's only lasting 5 years.
Yeah, your roof versus your parking lot.
So it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that people just don't really think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could take up to 1,400 deductions when you're a business owner versus a W-2 gets about 10. So the whole code is written to increase our GDP, right?
Yeah.
And so most people don't take advantage of when I look at my friends that are in real estate, they take 3 or 4 or 5. They could take 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever it is.
Leaving money on the table.
100%.
Good.
Yeah. I have a friend, his name is Scott. He's in construction. Didn't make money. All of a sudden he flipped this building that was a miracle, like unicorn. Made a ton of money. He left himself completely exposed, and he comes into my office when it came to tax time, and he looks like he got hit by a truck. And I was like, what's up, Scott? And he's like, I have to write out a check today for 350 G's, and I don't have it. For him, that was like more than he had. So he had to sell his trucks. He had to sell properties. He had to sell stuff to liquidate to make that payment.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, show me your deductions. He had 5. He had 3 or 4 or 5. He had so many he could have taken, but he didn't feel like he needed to.
Yeah.
And he left himself exposed, and that's not the solution.
So you guys work ahead of time coming into the taxes to kind of figure all that stuff out?
We do forward tax planning. So we'll
Gotcha.
look at a real estate investor, and we'll just say, look at your last year's taxes and see what you took, and more importantly, what you didn't take.
Yeah.
And then we just start stacking up the deductions to offset the income.
Okay.
Like everyone should take the Augusta rule.
Yeah.
I don't know if you golf.
Yeah, no, this guy over here is the
You
big
golfer?
Yeah.
What do you think of Augusta whenever you hear Augusta? What do you think of? Yeah, the Masters. It's one of the greatest tournaments in the world. I lived in Augusta, Georgia for that time. So it's the Augusta National is 2 weeks a year. 250,000 people descend on it. It is sacred, hallowed ground, right? I snuck out on the course at night, not recommended, because I wanted to see it, and it's the most pristine. You can't even see a divot.
Does it look like bluegrass?
You feel close to God standing there, right? It is the most prestigious. But if you live in Augusta, Georgia, it's not a big town.
Yeah.
So what do they want to do? They're out. They're out in their bass boats fishing. And what do they do with their properties? It's not B&B levels. It's Marriott ballroom levels.
Gotcha.
Of trade. So if you go to peerspace.com, you can figure out how much you can rent out your place, your house to for your business. So they rent them out for $2,000 to $3,000 a night, and there's no shiny buildings around. There's no hotels. So the whole town rents out their place.
Wow.
And they got tired of paying rent. They got tired of paying taxes on that rent that came in. So they went in front of Congress. They got a lobbyist. The lobbyist got a carve-out for business owners to rent out their personal residence for 2 weeks a year, tax-free, and not pay anything. So that made it federal. Now it's a code. We can all take advantage of it. So you as a business owner, real estate investor, you can do your board meetings once a month at your own properties.
Yep.
Go to peerspace.com, see how much you can rent it for. It's the happiest check you're going to cut, because you're going to cut yourself that check for whatever that value is, $2,000 to $3,000. We have one client that paid $20,000 to himself, tax free, and that's what you have to do, right?
Yeah.
So those are all the things that, like, no one sits you down and says, "Okay, tax is coming. Why don't you actually lean into it? Take advantage of the code."
Yeah. How about like SEP IRAs and stuff like that?
100%.
Yeah. So I set that up for myself 3 years ago because we didn't really have a plan for retirement.
Yeah.
Set it up, put auto deposits into Vanguard account.
Yeah.
VTSAX.
Love it.
Every single month, and in 3 years of just doing a $600 a month deposit, and then at the end of the year before the taxes, doing another matching payment from the company.
Yep.
All of a sudden, like, we have a retirement account over a 3 year period that's at like almost $200,000.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Tax free.
And it grows every single
Yes.
year, because when you're doing it every single month, you're getting dollar cost averaging on when it's up and when it's down and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. A lot of people are fearful of this stuff. They're like, If I say IRS, it's immediately like, oh, geez.
Oh, I had a bad experience.
Yeah.
And I worked through it, and it's the great. It was like a cloud that followed me everywhere for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And then once you finally get through it, I call it, your financial fitness needs to be like your mental and physical fitness. I always talk about the trifecta. There's 3 areas in your life, and it's hard to keep all of them in balance. You usually have 2 pretty good and a third one that starts getting out of whack. It's really hard to keep all 3.
That's a great.
And it's physical, mental and spiritual, and then financial.
That's excellent.
And a lot of people will focus on the physical and the financial, but then their mental and spiritual, which includes family and relationships and with God, or you know, all that kind of stuff, that'll get out of whack.
Sure.
Or then they go shift focus to that, and then they let their health go.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard.
Whack-a-mole.
Literally, and if you think about it, you got 2 hands. It's easy to carry 2 things. When you start adding that third, you're like, you know, trying to carry watermelons.
Yeah. But the more you can do in all 3 of those areas, the better you're going to be in life.
And nothing will make you more financially fit than getting yourself in a hole with the IRS.
Oh, 100%.
Because they're relentless.
Yeah. A lot of people will, like, their strategy is not to pay tax.
That is
just, I'm not going to pay taxes.
That's the dumbest
What could
strategy
possibly
I've
happen?
ever heard.
I talk to a lot of people. It's like, hey, you realize that's just going to eventually catch up to you, and you're going to have fees.
What do they see? That there's only 2 guarantees in life.
Death and taxes. Yeah. We cover both.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, like, just lean into it. But there's a great book I recommend. It's called Who Not How, Dan Sullivan. And we ask ourselves the wrong question. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? Because we're successful. So we're like, I can do this and I can do that. And we start getting cocky possibly. And as opposed to asking ourselves the right question, who can do this for me? That's what they do. They wake up every day and they think about the tax code. And they do it compliantly. So I'm not going to go get chased by the IRS for 10 years. And let me just put that on them. And let me focus on creating my craft. And let me focus on my family and God and everything else. But we just get ourselves bottlenecked.
It's funny how it's something that's so big and people give it a low priority until it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Like we come in and we underwrite our projects. And the first thing we do is look up and figure out how long are we going to hold this development property before we're in and out of it. Okay, it's almost 2 years. So let's make sure we have 3 years worth of taxes available.
Sure.
In our on that line item. Like that needs to be made sure of.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
It's such an important piece.
Yeah, because you go raise capital from investors. You don't want to come back to them and be like, oh, sorry, guys, I forgot about
capital call time.
I forgot about the taxes. They're $15,000, and we don't have it.
Right. Yeah.
How does that sound? You're doing $2 million projects, and you got to go to an investor and say, I don't have $15,000 for the taxes.
Right. Yeah. It's
that
all the things
builds
that
a lot of trust, doesn't it?
Yeah. And just take a little bit of time every week and just give it some energy on this stuff. And
you guys do K1 preps, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we do all that.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah, like I tell people too, is like make this a legacy play. And you have a daughter.
Yeah.
It's like everyone needs to go home and hire your family members because you're paying taxes. And then with those, after you pay taxes, you're taking those dollars and you're paying for your daughter's baseball and you're paying for this and you're paying for that and you're paying for that after you've paid taxes.
Yeah.
Versus you can actually hire your children and pay them $15,000, $15,200 a year, tax free.
With social media, there's tons of tax experts on, and I use air quotes because everyone's got a tax strategy that they create a viral video around, right? And then you're like, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. But then you don't know who to go ask if it's actually a real idea. So you should actually check out Shawn, and I'm sure Shawn would be like, be happy to answer a question.
We love it. We have incredible CPAs and
How big are you? How big are you guys? How big is your team?
I think we have like 75 members of our team. We have
all based in Salt Lake.
We have accountants all throughout the nation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So in most markets we have an accountant, and that's the who. Tax Hive wants to be the who. We want to come solve that. The dollars should stay in your pocket.
Yeah.
And you should use those dollars to build more property.
Yeah.
And grow your business. I mean, that's actually the code's written. So that's what you should lean into.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so from Tax Hive, you got this thing rolling. You said you guys went on a great run.
Yes.
You partner up with Kevin O'Leary. This thing starts humming.
Yeah.
What makes you decide you want to sell cookies and dirty sodas?
Right. Yeah. So like every good investor, you basically say, hey, how do I diversify? We love real estate as well. So you have real estate, you have a business, and you're like, hey, there's this crazy thing. I have people, everyone says they're not getting into food, and I've always like, oh, food's bad, because you hear that all the time, which is hard. Yeah, restaurants especially are hard.
Yeah, they fail fast, more fail than succeed.
Yeah, but there's these crazy concepts or franchises that are phenomenal. Yeah. And it's smaller menus, smaller footprints, less people a lot of times, and you can create incredible revenue. Yeah. I remember I went to see my buddy who has a massive restaurant, and he started looking at the Crumbl numbers, and he's like, you know how much Crumbl, one store of small little teeny Crumbl does as much as I do in this restaurant.
You look at
with 50 people.
If you look at some of these AUVs on these niche companies, like I think I just saw the top ones. You know Chris Hatch?
I think I know that.
With Forza. And Chris, I'm giving you a shameful plug. He has a Dirt Dog pod, so remember this one.
Sweet.
So Chris is in Salt Lake. He's a developer. They own Legend Partners as their brokerage company.
Okay, yeah, that's where I've heard of him.
But he puts out these numbers from like Nation's Restaurant News. And I mean, if you think you're talking about the niches, right? Yeah. So Portillo's, what do they sell? Hot dogs and hot beef sandwiches.
Yeah, right.
Average unit volume's like 9 million.
Yeah.
You got Chick-fil-A that literally sells chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
Like, that's about it.
Yeah.
They're doing, I think, on average, somewhere in the $5 million per store range.
Yeah.
I mean, these are some crazy numbers. Chipotle, if they added pickup lane, is like 3.2 million.
That's right.
And now you're talking about like Crumbl and Swig. Crumbl doesn't have drive-thrus, but
Crumbl doesn't. Yeah.
Okay, but
Swig's required.
Is a 650 square foot building.
Tiny.
It's drive-through only.
Drive-through only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're doing
no seats, no tables, nothing like that.
I think Matt said you put one in and it instantly does $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah. So we opened up our first Swig in North Carolina at Indian Land 2 weeks ago. The average wait in the first 3 days was 2 hours. Wow. And so there's all these
dirty soda.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't understand. Like
explain dirty soda.
Yeah, dirty soda. So I have a lot of friends outside of the state that we're in. I mean, there's a soda shop on every store, every corner up there, but dirty sodas, literally, they're high fashion sodas, and then they have their own proprietary blend of an energy drink that's all natural and everything. So a lot of people think of sodas as sugar. They have sugar-free options and everything. So it's a lot of these moms that are busy moms, need a boost of energy.
It's so popular that like TikTokers are doing dupes of Swig drinks on TikTok. You find them and they show you how to go to Walmart and buy. Not the same thing, but this is almost a shark bite or whatever.
Right, exactly.
How to make your dupe shark bite, recipe.
It's designed for, so it's built for social media.
Yeah, Crumbl's like that.
Same thing.
Crazy over the top stuff. I think when we were doing a lot of restaurant marketing, I had a media company called Local 480. Obviously, hungry investments, like it's all everything food related.
Yeah.
We would work with these restaurants to help create content for social media. And I'd ask them, what is your most viral menu item?
Yeah.
And they'd look at me like, what are you talking about? And you could always tell there was a restaurant that would just blow up because they had that one thing that you might never sell it, but it's over the top and you put it on social media and everybody is like, what is that?
Yeah.
I got to go there. And
that's right.
Yeah.
The beauty about what I think is the most brilliant aspect of what Crumbl does is Crumbl has a new menu every single week. It is a massive undertaking for young
like the whole
workers.
Menu?
They just have a consistent two cookies generally a week.
Yeah.
That's a new menu every week.
So they change out what those
everything. Yeah, there's new.
Do they have like
they
their
bring
base?
Back some old ones sometimes, but they are always introducing these crazy new concepts. And the brilliance of that is every single week it's different. And it creates millions of dollars in free advertising because you get all these TikTokers. I remember when we first opened our first Crumbl, my partner was out there, and all these just young people, like in droves, coming in their cars, young 17, 18-year-olds, because they've seen it forever.
Yeah.
And so every single week they do these reviews of a cookie. Okay, I got this cookie here, and they try it and they give it a score. And there's new content every single week. Had they had the same cookie menu forever,
it runs out.
Why would you do any content around it?
Yeah.
The Kylie Jenner just did a post on the cookies.
It's like the best free advertising you could ever get. Yeah.
Yeah, they just because she got a box and she tried it and put it on her story, and it absolutely blew up the stores.
And everyone comes in asking for that cookie.
So they did a Kylie Jenner specific box.
Oh, wow.
That she selected based on makeups and other things that she did. And, of course, there's lines galore. It's just brilliant. It's all millions of dollars of free advertising, right?
So how did you got Crumbl and Swig? So you started with Crumbl. How'd you get introduced to it?
So Crumbl, it's the who, right? So we have this great guy, Cole, who runs it all. He is on the ground 24/7. This guy is a workhorse. He had an in. It's who you know.
Yeah.
He had an in with him, so we got in early with Crumbl.
Cool.
He had served a mission with one of them, and just we got in early stage.
Yeah.
And here, this kid is like, he has spent 24 hours at this thing, like nonstop. And so we got in early at Crumbl, and then we see this opportunity in Swig in the same market in North Carolina. And
so is your market North Carolina? But you know that because Swig's based out of Utah, right?
Yeah, it is.
So you found out about it in Utah. Who is that? One of Andrew's? Did Savory buy Swig? Or is that how you guys kind of?
Yeah, I know Andrew now. I didn't know him at the time, but we got introduced to the vice president of Swig, who met with us because it's out of Utah. We were able to meet with him and get that early stage as well.
And what are your territories there?
So we're in North and South Carolina.
Oh, sweet.
So a lot of people say, well, like, but because there's a TV show that came out, it's called Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Oh, yeah.
And
my wife watched
maybe you've watched that or not.
Oh, yeah, guilty pleasure. Not me, but that's one of my wife's guilty pleasures.
Right.
Housewives.
Yeah.
Southern Charm.
Yeah.
Mormon Wives.
Right. Yeah.
And I walk in and we call, I'm like, what are we listening?
What are we watching here?
What am I listening to?
In the show, they show a lot of the Swigs and their dirty, and it kind of introduced the whole nation a lot of social media did, and that. Right. And so
there's Mormon Wives TikTok famous from COVID,
from dirty sodas. Yes, 100%. Yeah. So that show's been crazy. So pent up demand. We opened our first store like 3 weeks ago, and 2-hour delays, and you can see it on social media. They're like, okay, today we're gonna go to Swig. We've never been. We saw the show. We can't wait. And then they pull up and they see the line, and it's like an hour wait. And they're like, oh, it's like gotta wait in this line. And now it's still a 30-minute wait. It's been about 3 or 4 weeks now, and we're planning on opening another one in a couple months. And
was that your first location?
First location. I mean, it's a real estate place, so you're building an actual building because the challenge in the business, you have to have a drive-through.
Yeah.
These are busy moms. A lot of times they have kids in the back. They need that shot of energy, sugar-free energy, and they pull through. They can't unload all their kids, go up to
No.
They have to. They're on the go. They're busy people, and they need that energy, right? So that's what you have to have it.
So how many locations for both?
11 with Crumbl, and then 20 is what we're going for.
Is that your
Swig.
total store count you want to reach?
We're there on Crumbl, 11 on Crumbl already, and then we're going to 20. On Swig.
And do you have rights to more stores for both of? Or
what
for
we're
Crumbl?
finding is it's a smaller footprint that supports a Swig versus Crumbl. There's only so much you have to have certain size,
and it's in line, and
and you know what? People are really loyal to the Swig brand, where like they want that fix that you need at 2:00 when you're kind of,
Brennan's sitting over here. Him and I had a conversation about the fastest path from point A to point B with your wife or your girlfriend might be going this route, but if there's a Swig over here, you're not taking the fastest path.
I have a good friend. I do the posts myself where I try new drinks.
Do you do the dances with them?
I should. I'd probably get a lot less viewers if I did the dance for sure. But I do these posts where I'm like, this is my favorite drink and this is what's in it. So I get people texting me all the time. Hey, I'm at Swig. What do I order? So my friend's like, I don't even know what these. So he's like, I was like, do this, the Cloud 9 sugar-free, do the Ride or Die, because I thought I had his whole family with him. These are 4 energy drinks are my favorites. It's a Revel energy drink.
Well, and I know people talk about, oh, it's a fad, it's not going to last, but I don't think what they realize, and this is another article that I saw somewhere, but it's literally, if you look at Starbucks, Black Rock Coffee, Dutch Bros, go look at their menu.
Yeah.
They do like 30% of their sales, 30% of their sales right now, and that's probably growing from these other drinks.
Yeah, that's right.
That are not coffee based.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. We need that energy. So my buddy, he calls me an hour later and he's like, hey, I drank all 4. And it's like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And he's like,
can't go to sleep.
Yeah. He's like, he drank all 4. I thought he had his whole family. He drank them all.
No, he tried
and
every
he didn't
single
sleep.
one.
He didn't sleep a wink. He said he fell asleep at like 5 a.m. or something. You know what I mean?
He got a lot of work done. So help, because like I mentioned to you, Bryant sent me the video from when you guys were doing your event yesterday, and you were talking about the numbers. Like, let's dig into some real estate look here. So you have Crumbl and you got Swig, and we can talk. I want to talk. We'll talk. You and I will talk some more offline.
Sure.
About some thoughts I have. But so if somebody's watching this and they're like, man, I want to get into real estate, and I own, I operate restaurants, or I got a one-off, or I'm looking at franchises. Like, how did you guys get started? How did you raise the money? How much did it cost?
Yeah.
Like, what's the plan to expand?
Yeah, so I believe that, just like, compounding interest is a miracle, where it doesn't make sense. You're looking at and all of a sudden money has inertia, and it grows fast.
Yeah.
That's the same the way I feel
money
about
loves
it.
speed.
It does. And I feel like that's how it is with with these franchises. So what you do is we bootstrapped. So we built 1, built 2, built 3. Well, those 3 are putting out positive cash flow. And if you're patient and you don't have to pull the money out, it's the same with real estate, right?
Yep.
You can pop out a 4th property. And that's how it was with Crumbl. It's like you go 1, 2, 3, and all of a sudden magically a 4th pops out. And magically a 5th pops out, and then another one. You're not taking
It's like playing with house money.
That's right. Yep. And so although you have a big valuation when you get done building them all, you'd certainly only started down here. That's the miracle of the thing, where if you're patient and you're willing to invest back in the business and grow it that way, a person that wants to bootstrap can actually make it happen.
And so I know you were talking about some like valuation numbers. Are you comfortable sharing
Yeah, valuations on this are kind of all over the board because it's based on what actually produces in the store.
Yeah.
But just say rough numbers, if a store can do, and this is in any franchise, if they can do $1 million top line revenue a year, you're hopefully getting a 20 to 30% margin, and you could take that $200K to $300K. That's if you're if it hits $1 million. And then you just roll that money into more stores in the future.
You just put it aside, wait till you get enough or whatever the requirement is to open another store. And then, so you guys have a really good operations partner.
Incredible.
Yeah. So what key people would you say? We talk about people are your greatest asset. It's funny that we're talking about this because we've literally had conversations having come, with Hungry. I know a lot of really good restaurant operators here in Phoenix, and we've had kicked around the idea of what is a concept from our real estate perspective that we think would do great in this market that we could use as a real estate play. But I'm not running a restaurant. I'm a real estate guy.
That's right.
And so I need a really good operator to come in and be a partner where we can help. You don't have to think about anything on the real estate side. I need you to figure out how to make sure that store does X.
That's right.
So who are the key team members?
We started with Cole, and he's still the operator. He went through a learning curve because he didn't have a ton of experience. But the one thing we had with him is that's all he did. And
passion.
I think a lot of real estate investors like, hey, I've built this and I know how to do this, and then you know how to build the drive-through, you know how to do all these things. But if you're the guy and you're supposed to do that, you're spinning multiple plates, and it's almost like you have the gunpowder on the dish that has energy going everywhere versus being focused in a bullet, right? You have to be focused, narrow focused on what you do.
Yeah.
And would never consider doing it. I've made my personal mistakes the most by trying to do it myself and being this also. So you have to have a good operator, and ideally someone who has experience in the food space and experience in. And there is, franchise has been around a long time. You can go out and headhunt and find a really good person that you feel like you can get the right person on the bus first, right?
Yeah, and you just give them some equity in the deal as it grows.
Yeah.
And then do you guys have someone that handles all your marketing that's really good at the marketing, or does that fall on to Cole?
It actually, we have a great marketing firm that we work with that drives traffic also, but then you get a pickup on marketing with working with a good franchise.
I wonder if that's one of the groups that you connected, like Space Station or something like that.
I'm good buddies with those guys too. Yeah, they're great.
I figured as much.
Yeah.
I got interweaved and connected in there.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're a YouTube agency. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, outside of that, where do you see Tax Hive, Crumbl? Like, what's the next foray for you guys?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Swig. Really excited about just staying in my lane at this point and growing and growing and growing.
Gotcha.
The advice I'd have for any business owner that I run into, and I see most commonly the mistake is, I deal with a lot. I mentor at an iHub place, which is an incubator. It's just the start that stops you, right?
Yeah.
And so many are pre-revenue, and they don't need to be pre-revenue. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
They're like, oh, I'm waiting till this thing is just right. Well, just get your start. Get some revenue. Doesn't it feel great? You being a commercial real estate, seeing the revenue come in, pour in, is the most incredible payday and rush for a business owner, is to see things grow.
80% shipped is better than 100% unshipped.
100%, yeah. So, like, I have a good buddy, his name's Sam Taggart. He's like, don't wait until you have all the squeegees and all the nice stuff. Just go take rags and Windex and start selling door to door and go do the windows.
Yeah.
Get revenue coming in.
Yep.
Right? And just get the start, and then your focus will go there. And all of a sudden, it'll start flowing, and you'll wake up in the middle of the night. You're like, oh, I got this property I'm going to do, or this, and it just that's how we operate. So just go get your start. Go start.
Yeah,
get it done.
Well, where can people find you? I know we talked about multiple things. You can go check out Swig, the brand. You can check out Crumbl.
Yeah,
and that would, if they come to your store.
Yes, would love it.
What markets are you in?
We're in North and South Carolina.
For Swig?
Yeah, and Crumbl, both.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So you like the Carolinas.
We do. Amazing people, workforce.
Take your daughter there? She fall in love there?
Yes, my daughter's right here. She
fall in love with the Carolinas or something?
For sure. We love the people of Carolina. They are like highly educated, work hard, and the people are amazing.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's one of the fastest growing markets to live in, real estate wise.
We looked at moving to South Carolina.
Yeah.
So
incredible people.
Yeah, so I love it. But so if you're ever in Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, go visit a Swig or a Crumbl. Help support Sean's.
Buy lots of drinks.
Sean's companies.
Yes, please.
Get 4 energy drinks. We highly recommend.
Drink them all at night.
Drink them after 10 p.m.
Yeah, they're a lot better at night.
Yeah, especially if you're going to an electronic music festival.
Yes.
And then as far as Tax Hive, if you can work with anybody, and you guys specialize in real estate. So all you real estate brokers, investors, lenders, all that.
Yeah.
Check out my man Shawn here as far as getting help to make sure you get the full 14 deductions, not 4 or 5.
Yes.
Right?
And we have a business blueprint. It's free for everyone. It's 17 questions, takes 5 minutes. It'll show you how you can save now.
So where do they find
We'll make sure we send you that link.
Okay.
We'll send you the big.
And they can go check out taxhive.com.
Taxhive.com. Tons of content on there. You'll see Kevin.
Well, I saw you walking around with your camera guys yesterday.
Yes.
So you guys also Tax Hive on Instagram.
Yes.
All that.
And I'm on there as Finnegan Shawn as well.
Okay. Where do you want people to go?
They can go to taxhive.com. We put out tons of education. And so even if they never use our services, go to taxhive.com, and we're going to give you a lot of content.
And they'll find you at Finnegan Shawn on what?
Anything.
Everything.
Yeah. Everything
Instagram,
and anything.
TikTok.
Yes, I'm on all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to start dancing according to what you
your
recommendation.
We're going to do some choreography. So as this is Shawn Finnegan, my man over here. I think we're going to definitely stay in communication. He's going to start
100%.
doing our taxes for us too.
If you made it this far through and you landed here, it means you're serious about making money in commercial real estate. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not already following for more great commercial real estate, and check out this video or this video. As always, stay hungry, my friends.